welcome to Check It Out, Comrade, an indie game podcast where every 2 weeks we bring you 2 indie games and tell you what we like about them. I'm Nick Glauber.
I'm Gary Butterfield.
And I'm Kole Ross.
And this week we're doing Doorkickers and This War of Mine. And as you can tell, we are joined by Kole Ross. I don't think you need any introduction on here, Kole, but
of the network.
Of the network. Of every other podcast almost on Duckfeed. So
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Although I did kind of impose.
No,
it's true, but it's good. It's good. It was something that we would have wanted to play anyway.
Yeah,
I think.
And I think we're going to try and turn this into a little bit of a streak here with some guest spots since we just had Jenny on last episode too. So
yeah, guest month.
Yeah,
month and like a half. Guest 6 weeks.
All right.
It's been 6 weeks since we had some guests.
Damn it, Gary.
So let's so we're starting. Kole brought us This War of Mine, he's from the makers of Kole Ross, This War of Mine. He's the one who suggested it, but we're going to talk about, we paired that with Doorkickers, and kind of on accident, they're both kind of about violence in a way.
Yeah.
But that's not the one that Kole brought to us. So Nick, why don't you tell me what is cool about Doorkickers, and then we'll have Kole lead us through This War of Mine, since he brought it to us.
So, for those who aren't aware, Doorkickers is a real-time / turn-based strategy game by a team calling themselves Kill House Games. And this is their first game. They're a Romanian team. And in Doorkickers, you take control of a entire SWAT team who is barging their way into a building to take out some tangos.
The titular kickers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kickers in question.
Yeah, there's certain kinds of kickers. These are door kickers.
And it was officially released on October 20th of this year, but I believe it was on early access before that. So, and what I like about Doorkickers, it's just a really cool overhead tactical strategy game. What I kind of like about it best is that it rewards you for planning all your moves in one go. You don't have to do that. You can kind of pause as you go and sort of do it room by room. But I really like the satisfaction you get from just planning out everything start to finish in one go, letting it run, and then optimizing from there. That's a real enjoyable experience for me.
Yeah, it's a subset of indie games about programming.
Yeah,
it can be as a thing. So it's if you've ever played Rainbow Six, any of the old Rainbow Six games, it's like the planning phase from those.
Yeah.
Except the whole thing kind of plays out that way.
Yeah. And if you end up panicking like I do, you end up playing it like a Baldur's Gate game.
Yeah.
where you're starting and stopping with wild abandon as you recalculate on the fly.
Yeah. Which is also okay. You can set it up as kind of a Rube Goldberg machine that just kind of clears this house of tangos, because you have all these kind of logic setups, these A, B, and C commands that you can have pop up at different times to trigger them. So you can set it up as this kind of a set it and forget it thing, or you can play it closer to a CRPG.
Yeah,
in that respect. And there's elements that you control, and there's elements you don't have to control. The characters have decent AI. They will shoot at anything they look at. They know what to shoot at.
Right.
Those little kickers. But there's kind of different ways to play it. In each level, there are these campaigns with permadeath that are kind of more meaty, but there's something 70 levels in the main game, and they're all just little tiny maps. It's just here's a little map of an apartment, here are your guys, here are your tools, clear this place of tangos.
Yeah, it's kind of in the overhead style and the fact that you're just busting into a place and taking everyone out. It's kind of a much more meaty Hotline Miami.
Yeah, thoughtful Hotline Miami.
Yeah. And it's just real enjoyable. Yeah, like you said, definitely the programming aspect to it is one part I super enjoy. Yeah. There's also RPG elements. You level up each of your guys, and they unlock new classes and stuff that have different specialties, and you can get them new weapons and new tools and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I didn't expect that. Rewards. So it's laid out like a mobile game a little bit, where each of these stages has a 3-star rating that you can get by satisfying certain criteria, and those stars directly feed into what you can unlock. I didn't expect it to be as deep as it ended up being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's real meaty.
Yeah, it just goes on forever, and there are ways to make randomly generated levels. There are user created levels. It is made to be this kind of perpetual kind of game. And the the different classes play very differently. Like I unlocked 2 extra classes as I went through the game. I didn't beat this game because I'm not very good at it, even though I really like it.
I didn't beat it. I think I probably even got less far than you did, but I'm going to continue playing it.
Yeah. Actually, I think I got, because if these are going in order, I'm looking at the different classes, because I got the Assaulter.
Yes.
And then I got the Stealth class.
Yeah, I don't think I got to Stealth, so you got one more ahead of me.
The Stealth class rules. Like, he's really cool. Like, he can do, like, he's silent. Like, you can, you always have this option, later the buildings you're kicking the doors of, have options for, like, placing different members of your squad at different entrances. And you can do really cool things with the Stealth class, having him enter in through the back while your main guy's assault and kind of distract.
Yeah.
You know, and have him just pop people in the back of the head. Like, it's pretty neat.
It's real cool.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different classes, like, and they all complement each other. So you have this element of, like, a loadout as well.
Yeah.
You know, that is part of it. That's really cool.
Yeah, you can get some different weapons that have sort of different specialties to them, including like a silenced pistol if you want to kind of have a stealthy guy who isn't necessarily a stealth class kind of take the lead. And then you can get things like spy cameras that'll let you kind of peep through holes indoors before deciding what to do next.
Whether to kick them or not.
Yeah.
You can kick them, or you can set up a kick bomb. And the kick bomb will kick the door for you.
Yeah.
So, Doorkickers brand breach charges.
Yeah, those will take out some guys in the meantime, too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm just imagining the Newgrounds Flash prototype for this, where you just click on a door and a guy kicks it.
Yeah, door kickers.
Yep.
like cookie clickers.
Yep.
Like, and you just have to buy upgrades to your boots that eventually just click automatically. Like, this is going to kick a door like once every 30 seconds.
Yep. It's like that door knocking gag from Pee Wee Herman or Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
And that also weirdly happens in Gabriel Knight 2.
Oh yeah,
kind of. Yeah, that's where that's from. Yeah, it's really fun. Like, I'm kind of bad at it. Like, I've never been really good at these kind of deep tactical things. One of the things I like about it, though, is it's a really interesting take on, like, what essentially is happening in a Counter-Strike match.
Yeah.
Like, if you take a zoomed out overhead view and slow it down and change it, like, these are things that, like, this is the most popular game genre of all time. You know, just like a totally different approach to it. Like, this is Modern Warfare or Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
But just like a really different way to look at it.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's incredibly unpredictable too, like, because each shot is essentially a dice roll. You really don't have a whole terrible lot of control over whether or not somebody kind of like lives or dies.
Right.
And as opposed, you know, when your only other recourse to keep somebody alive is just to not put them in danger, it starts to feel like, oh, okay, like, I'm just going to run this until I get a favorable set of results.
Yeah, and there's random elements too. Like, you know, guys will be posted in different areas.
Yeah.
And I think that some of the later classes, like, I wish that some of the later classes were unlocked a little bit sooner, because there are ones that directly answer that. Like, there's I'm looking at the thing now, and there's like a shield guy who you can use to cover other people so they can approach and things like that. Like, I think that they probably, you know, they had ways kind of around that, but they want you to unlock them.
Right.
In a way that, like, I don't know if I necessarily am in favor of it. Like, I would like the unlocks to be more, like, kind of less elemental to your verb set.
Probably a forced method of creating replayability, where you can't quite 3-star level on your first try, but you can go back later with better classes and make it happen.
Yeah. And it just seems like it doesn't need that, since there's so much content anyway.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Did either of you play the campaigns, like the bespoke campaigns?
I watched some of the first campaign, but I mainly just played probably a good 10 levels or so before calling it good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played the beginning of one of them, but mostly I did the individual missions.
Yeah. I couldn't figure out how to unlock the main campaign for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's also through stars, because by the time I decided to check it out, I just could. So it's probably something that happens just on your progress through the game.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
So, which again, that's a weird choice too. Like, a forced tutorial like that is never my favorite thing.
No.
There's always those in, like, fucking co-op games. Like, me and Derek will get something on Steam that we want to play co-op, and, like, when you play it, you have to play through the tutorial first before it'll even bring you to the menu where you can do co-op. It's really annoying. Like, I played this type of game before. Give me some fucking credit, man. Like, I don't need the, like, WASD to walk around thing before I can do this. Like, I know.
I need you to look at these lights.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know.
One thing I really didn't like was Risk of Rain. I don't know. I think we probably talked about it in the episode, but same thing. Like, there's no reason to play that game not co-op, and yet you can't unlock some characters without doing it single player.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
I'm never gonna play this single player. I'm never gonna get those characters now.
Yep. What would a multiplayer version of this look like? I was just thinking about that. Like,
it would look like Frozen Synapse.
Yeah.
I've never played that. I just know of it.
So Frozen Synapse is very similar to this, except it's forced rounds, and it pauses every 5 seconds. And every 5 seconds, you set all your guys to what routes you want them to do, and the other person does too, and then it all plays out simultaneously, and then it pauses again.
Okay.
And so it's kind of a stripped down but very similar version of this, but with much more stricter play style.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's the only way I could think you'd be able to do it, because you can't allow everybody to pause on their own means. You'd have to have a forced pause ratio.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There would have to be a certain degree of asymmetricality to that, though, because the tangos, those whose doors must be kicked.
When you're a door or when you're a kick, everything looks like a door.
Those whose doors must be kicked. I could only see that working if the person on the tango side was controlling placement. Right, because
that would be kind of awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like, one person just sets up their drug den,
mm-hmm.
and the other person has to assault it. I guess you could do that when you do level creation, but if you did it quick on the fly,
kind
of thing. Like, me and you are playing against each other, and we're adjusting to each other's tactics.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. Just a set of 5 maps, and then you switch sides, and
mm-hmm.
each time you get 5 minutes to set up your guys, and then the other person has to bust in.
Yeah, like Rampart.
That'd be cool. Yeah, it would be like Rampart.
What kind of goals would there be other than just killing all the tangos and kicking all the doors?
I think it would just be kicking all the doors and killing all the tangos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Versus, and if you're the tangos, some of your doors remain pristine and virginal, and some of your tangos remain unkilled.
You have to protect the one true door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or each time a level is complete, the person who was doing the kicking has to keep whatever deaths they had and try and keep one survivor all the way through all 5 maps or something like that.
Oh, sure. They have a limited number of people, but your guys refill.
Yeah.
And then every time, if you win as the tangos, you get a new door. Every time, the place wherever you want.
Yeah.
What if you were to kick a door and there's just another door behind it? That'd be a fucking trip.
Oh, man.
The final level's just the intro to Get Smart.
Yeah. So many doors. And I can't kick through all of them. Do we recommend this game? Do we like this game?
I do. I definitely enjoy it. I think especially for people who know this sort of content would appeal to them, there's just a lot of it, and this will keep you going for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I dug it. It's the kind of thing where I don't know, it's kind of is not for me in a way. This isn't the type of game that I'm super into, but I really like it, and it's super interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder how it would control, I think it was originally meant to be a mobile game. Yeah. I think I read that somewhere, and I think I would like playing it more in bed on an iPad,
right,
or on a tablet than on my PC necessarily.
It definitely has the controls for it. It's all mouse based, and I think their site does say that they have it planned. But yeah, I don't know if you can fit this much content into a mobile game. There's a lot of it.
I kind of would hate drawing these paths with my finger. That to me felt like it required a much greater level of control, but I did see those. The interface has mobile written all over it, even down to the stars. Kind of metaphor to it. So
yeah, I don't know. I maybe that's just kind of necessarily, if not a iOS kind of thing, maybe even on 3DS or something. Having it to go playing a couple rounds before bed.
Yeah,
makes more sense for me for this kind of game, I think.
Yeah. I could see it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, cool. What made you want to talk about this war of mine?
Yeah, so the act of playing The Sims is depressing, right? But
sure.
What if the content of The Sims was as depressing as the act of playing The Sims?
You're talking about Sims.
Yes. Yeah.
The new game where it's a simulation of playing The Sims.
Yep. Just one room, one person, one computer, one sim, no goals.
Yep.
Yeah. No. So this war of mine, it's a little bit like that, where you are controlling a group of survivors who are holed up in, I believe it is a fictionalized version of Sarajevo. And you are trying to survive in basically a city that is under siege in this horrible civil war. and it kind of plays out like a combination of base management, resource management, survival kind of stuff, along with like a couple of touches of like Oregon Trail or FTL, as you are trying to make it so your characters can, not die either from hunger or wounds and things like that. And I think what ultimately made this stick out for me above and beyond any of the similar like crafting heavy games that are out there, or even just the survival genre, and even above like say something really similar like a not Dead Nation, what's the one where
I was trying to think of the name too.
Yeah.
Like this whole time I was like,
has a Teflon name. I know.
Yeah, just like the zombie Xbox game.
Yeah, yes, the zombie Xbox.
Do you know what we're talking about, Nick? That like it's good. Like,
yes,
I'm being dismissive, but I actually like that game.
I know what you guys are talking about too. State of Decay.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. Teflon name. Yeah. What makes it stick out above that is that it's subject matter that we see a lot, but from a different side. And the game's tagline kind of wraps everything together in a nice thematic bow, which is not everybody in war is a soldier. And so this is kind of a horrific depiction of something that is insensitively portrayed in every single video game.
Yeah.
And so like both of those things kind of prop each other up to make this like what I feel like is a pretty important thing to look at, especially if you like me are a little bit dismayed about like the way violence is treated in games,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that stuff is super important. One of the things, like, this wasn't what I expected going into it, and I kind of thought like it's interesting because it is almost all metaphor that gives it that weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like this game would not play any differently if it was about zombies.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't impact the play at all. But it's just interesting because it's a different, like you said, it's looking at something that we see all the time, and that does give it like a lot of power in a game that otherwise I think would be kind of like a little standardy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was really put off by initially because like it like the beginning of it like feels very unfriendly. Like there's nothing that tells you what to do, which is good. Like I like that about a game, but like it was frustrating at first. And I was like, oh, this is Don't Starve. I didn't like Don't Starve. Like I don't want to, craft this stuff and do this stuff, but it's more interesting than that.
Yeah.
Because like any apocalypse, be it zombie or, Bosnian war, like the real enemy are the other people.
Yeah.
Like the other survivors are like, and actually the soldiers later on, but like the other people are really the interesting part. It's not the actual state of the world, state of decay, if you will, that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But I was really expecting, like, I think that like it is a weird thing where like propping it up is a good word, but like if it wasn't for that, if this was a zombie game, I would think it was like kind of a fun game and kind of interesting,
mm-hmm.
but not very noteworthy.
Yeah.
Like it is like it's kind of like it's not like this is really, really lauded, and I'm just kind of curious about how much goodwill is just carried by the fact that it is about war as opposed to any other apocalypse.
I think a lot. Like it's pretty remarkable. Like they definitely could have just made it a zombie game and it would have been functionally the same, but like this, it makes a little bit of sense to introduce that level of like privation on top of this that kind of like makes the crafting and scavenging aspect of it feel like narratively necessary. It also helps that this scratches an itch of mine, like that resource management kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
running this house like a spreadsheet, like that kind of thing.
Right.
So those two things both speak to me in a huge way.
It's funny that like how much I like the resource management part, and I just get annoyed, like put off by the crafting.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it, I think, is just like when you open up a crafting menu in one of these games, and you just have this huge laundry list of things to make that do a thing. Like it suggests something more bland than this actually is, because like the reason why this game works for me and the reason why I like it is that like the rhythm, like the actual act of scavenging
mm-hmm.
is really good from a play perspective.
Yeah, that's the best part of the game.
Like that's by far my favorite part of the game. Like, making sure all my guys are fed, like making things and babysitting them during the day. Like
mm-hmm.
if this was just that, I would not like it very much.
Agreed.
But the fact that it has this different gameplay mode,
mm-hmm.
like made me really excited.
Yeah. These like high risk scenarios that you have to run into, like with a shopping list, like you're going out there with a goal in mind.
Right.
Yeah. And they're very like, they're morally and danger and moral danger and physical danger, fraught with both of those things. And the way they're set up is to create these kind of emergent little like situations. Like there's enough randomness involved. Because I like every game that involves crafting, I got a couple days in, I was like, oh, I was doing everything wrong, I have to start over, which is another thing that bothers me about games about crafting, it seems like. So I started over, and then I was like, oh, these things that I thought were going to be the same are different. Like this family is home this night, and maybe they weren't the other night, or like, this person is sleeping now, and they weren't sleeping last time.
Right.
So it creates these really, really tense little situations, like the kind of sneaking and stealth gameplay in this game, which doesn't seem like it should have stealth gameplay, is kind of incredible.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's really good.
Like some of the feelings of just like, oh, this person doesn't know I'm in their house and I have to make this moral decision to like gank their shit or not, was really cool.
And it makes a difference if you take it all or not.
Yeah. Yep.
Like that's reflected in the state of your characters, how they feel about the things they've done,
how much you wreck the other person's life.
Yeah,
which like that's the one part that I think does separate this setting from just like a zombie apocalypse one or something, is that the fact that everyone you encounter is surviving to the same rate you are, and there's no like it's already in a war-torn place. Like there's no active monster to fight. Obviously there's soldiers later on and stuff like that, which we'll talk about, but like everyone's just surviving in the same way you are, scavenging because all the stores are gone, all the modern lifestyle stuff is out of the picture. So every person you encounter, even when you're being friendly towards them and like they're good people, it's like if you take anything from them, it's you are actively stealing from someone who's in the same exact position you are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like that's something that they do in State of Decay too. Like, I feel like there have been like some zombie games that do that same thing. I think that like one of the differences for this is just because it's something that could happen, or has happened, so like that makes it that people feel more real. Like they're not dealing with like the zombie threat. They're just dealing with this. It's like an environmental condition. Like you could also do this game taking place in a blizzard. Like there was an unnatural blizzard that lasted for 4 years. You could do this game taking place in like an outgrowth of giant plants. You could do this, like this game could be any apocalyptic setting that made resources scarce.
Was that last scenario the happening?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the DLC. This war of mine, the happening. But like you could do it. Like it just has to be like it's inhospitable. Like it is just a survival scenario.
Yeah.
And you could actually like take the overlay from Don't Starve and put it on this if you want the same metaphor of like the scientist and being in the weird land and just have him like, I mean, you could actually make it mechanically work. It's just they happen to choose something more realistic and down to earth and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. It's way more interesting in that and purely based on that choice. But I think the mechanics, they tie in enough in that they tie into apocalyptic settings.
Yeah.
But like you're right, this wouldn't be nearly as engaging in any other setting, and I think the mechanics tie in just enough to make this setting a real good fit for it.
Can I gush about the stealth real quick?
Yeah,
that interface element that shows you how much sound you're making, like the the waves that kind of like radiate out from you. That is so intuitive. I love that.
Like Mark of the Ninja waves.
Exactly, and like the second I saw that, I was like, oh, they're pulling a really good element from that game I like. And so, so the way that it appropriates it was like I all of a sudden knew exactly what it was communicating. It's very, very elegant.
Yeah, the like noise from other people around too is also super intuitive. Like little red rings of something migrating around the house outside of your field of vision. You're like, oh shit, what the fuck is that? And, like trying to avoid it at all costs is really fun.
Well, then also sometimes they're animals.
Yeah,
so like that's
rats.
really smart too. Is
That's
that like
so smart?
Yeah. And then like I don't know how terrible a person you've been in this game, but like when things start to go to shit, like if you get caught, it's awesome. Like that, like I've talked about that as the mark of a good stealth game. Like a stealth game should be fun when you get caught.
Yep.
And if a game is not fun when you get caught, I feel like it's doing something wrong. Like as much as like I like the Metal Gear games, like they're terrible at that. As opposed to something like Dishonored, which is like super fun when you get caught. This is really tense and awesome when you get caught because like it is hard to get out. People are yelling things at you. Like it gives this like scene of chaos, and like fighting often isn't an option because for some reason, one thing that I'm bummed out about the game is you can only send one person out scavenging at a time, which like when I got a fourth person, I was like, oh great. Like I need, more than fucking 8 things of wood to do anything. Like I did find a weird curve where it's like I couldn't get ahead.
Yeah.
In this game around like day 9 or 10, like I just like, well, I can't make things because all of my scavenging is keeping these people fed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Because not more than one person won't go out, and there's no reason for that, which is frustrating. Like there's no like narrative reason for that, but like because of that, you're going to be outnumbered no matter what, since you can only have one person with you.
Right.
Do you guys get far enough? Is there any way to upgrade your storage? Like, can you build a backpack or anything like that? Or is that set?
Not that I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had obviously other different characters have different amounts of backpack storage, but I haven't seen any way of upgrading anyone's.
There's so many spots on that grid for their inventory that I would have to imagine you can expand it. I just didn't see it on any of the trees that I got access to.
Yeah. I would like that, because like it kept coming down to a choice of like steal food or steal wood.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is just the wood stacking. Like, wood only stacks too deep. To where it's like, oh, like I have to feed my guys or make a bed, which is a cool choice. But like, if I keep making it, it's like, well, I can just kind of run in place, one person sleeping on the floor every night, no matter what, because I can't, or they're going to starve.
As you get a little bit more developed, there is some alternate means. Like you can get an axe and chop up some of the useless furniture around your place for wood.
Mm-hmm.
And also you can get like some more better bartering utilities for when people come by. If they have a ton of wood and you have some moonshine around, you can just trade that for your life's worth of wood if you want.
Yeah.
So there is some ways around it, but you're definitely strained for stuff at various points in the game.
Yeah. Also, there are worse strategies than setting up a way to be self-sufficient for food. Like I rushed to do like the herb garden and the vegetable garden as well. Yeah, animal traps. It's like, yes, we're gonna eat rats, but I'm gonna be able to, like, we all have to compromise here, guys.
Yeah.
It's just hard to do like while in the early game, I guess. And like I just got to day like 10 or 11, I think.
Yeah.
In the relatively early game, like it is difficult to kind of keep all those plates spinning. And part of it is like I'm not good at those games. Like that's probably part of why I don't like those kind of crafty crafting games.
Yeah.
Is probably because I'm not good at them, I'll admit. But I just had a hard time keeping all my plates spinning. Like getting ahead when I was kind of dedicating all my energy to survival.
Yeah. And they're like the thumbs on the scale too. Like they're really pressing down on you to make you feel that stress.
Yeah. Which I appreciate. Like I like that as a thing. But like in retrospect, I never should have taken in Savetka or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
She's useless.
Zlatka?
I think that.
Shalatka, yeah, like they're just like the chubby lady who has a smaller backpack. Like she's got like a JanSport teen, and everyone else has a cool duffel bag.
She's got a fanny pack.
Yeah, she's just got this fanny pack. Keeps talking about how much she likes kids. I ain't got no kids.
Yeah. That's probably definitely the reason why you're falling so early. Like I'm definitely like circling the drain around, I think, day 14 or something. I haven't gotten super far either, but I think I'm not quite as constrained as you are.
I'm sustaining myself for now, but that's it. Like I just, I want to build some more stuff. It's interesting too. Like I love the way that the people all have different values. Like in the spoiler section, I'll tell like my big harrowing encounter I had, because there is I think a grand story to this game. I didn't get to it, but it's mostly about these little emergent stories that you make. But different people are bothered by different things and have different things that will make them happy in a way that is really interesting.
Yeah.
And I ended up fucking something up with that. In a cool way.
All right. Well, is there anything we want to say before we move into the spoiler section, or?
No, I recommend this as well. This is a good game.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. It is like getting like all these straight 10 out of 10s. Like I don't like it as much as I like something like Gone Home or something.
Yeah.
Like I've seen really glowing reviews of this. I don't think it's quite that like revolutionary. Because it is a game we've seen a million times. It just has a better setting.
Yeah.
But it is really good.
Yeah.
And the setting is important. I don't mean to downplay that. Like that is very important, but really like as from a game perspective, it's not doing anything new. Like it's just kind of mixing some things that are already pretty cool together.
I agree with that. But I still think it's a pretty solid recommendation. I think it's a setting that hasn't been done. Like this specific version of post-apocalyptic hasn't been done before, and this does it pretty freaking well.
Yeah, it does it really well. Like I don't want to undervalue that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to make it a perfect kind of game for me.
Yeah. I'm jazzed about it. I'm really jazzed that it's successful too. Like they made their production budget back within like 2 days.
Nice.
Something. So like that goodwill has, helped people, I think, understand a little bit more, about the subject matter. So it's important in that regard. And also, like, I dig this kind of game. So yeah.
Yep.
All right, so let's move into a little bit of admin stuff. We're going to come back to this game with the spoiler section in a little bit. But before that, you can always catch us on facebook.com/checkitoutcomrade or on twitter.com at Comrade Podcast. And our home site is, as always, Duckfeed.tv/Comrade. We have a Patreon running right now, which I would personally like to thank some of our Patreon backers, as you've helped me upgrade my audio, as I hope is obvious. I've gotten a very nice new mic, which some Patreon funds went towards. So thank you guys very much.
Yeah. Go and download patreonbackers.exe. And then there's Patrons that need backing. You should back them. Yeah, and then ratings, reviews, all that stuff. That's all appreciated as per always on the old iTunes. Yeah, thanks again, Kole.
Yes.
Just in case anyone's not sticking around for the spoiler section.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Anything you want to pitch, Kole, that they would obviously be very aware of?
No. Just thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah.
And then next episode we're going to have a guest as well, but we don't know what games we're doing and stuff.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Yep. Yeah, and here's a short jingle and then some spoilers. So there's not like how have you beat this game, Kole?
No. I'm like on day 20 or so, something like that.
So I guess it ends at a random time. I was looking it up.
Yeah,
a little bit, like, which is interesting. But I don't know what that looks like. Is it? That's really cool. Like, I didn't want to spoil that in the first section, but like the fact that it is a survival game where you just don't know how long you have to hold out.
Yeah,
that's very cool. Like, I like that too.
So yeah, from what I know of the ending, yeah, you're right. It's some period of time after, but essentially peacekeepers come in and help everyone out is what I understand happens eventually. So it's a survival game where if you manage to survive the whole length of it, you win. Like you manage to live long enough to get enough help to return back to a normal life.
And you don't know how long that is.
Yeah.
And like that subtle shift in assumption changes the calculus drastically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
because you always have to be worrying about the next day. You can't just like, oh, okay, well, I can probably let this ride because I know the game's going to end at day 25.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no countdown of like 30 days until rescue or anything like that. You have no idea.
Krusty's going to get here. You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Yeah, exactly. But he actually does show up.
Yep.
Or I guess he does in the episode too. Yeah, so as far as I don't think any of us know anything about the kind of grand story then if we didn't beat it.
No.
But in those kind of like little story things, so like my guys were starving. As previously has come out, like, I'm bad at managing food. I was not self-sufficient for food remotely. And I was starving, and one of my guys, the guy who was my cook, Bruno, got really sick. And I had some pills for him, but he also was, like, super hungry. And I was like, well, shit, like, I needed to do something about this. And, like, one of the things at the map, and one of the really deft touches they have in the game is, like, early on in all the different seeds I played, one of the early things is like, this is a house where like this old couple lives with their teenage son. They've managed to somehow fend off looters, but they're not interested in trading. Like, so I was like, okay, I went there and like, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take these old people's food. And, I felt kind of bad about it, but, I got caught, as you do, like, and the dialogue and stuff is really good. Like, they're just like, what are you doing here? No, don't do that, and I had my, crowbar out. Because I had to break through a wall or something like that to do it. And I put down the weapon and like they started like freaking out. And I had a really awesome like moment of like emergence gameplay. I'm like, oh, and then like before I knew it, I had like clicked on the old lady.
Oh no!
And caved her head in with a crowbar.
Oh,
and felt really bad. And I was like, can I just leave her here and then go for the old man to find her outside the fridge when he comes downstairs? And I was like, I can't do that. That's awful. So I went up and I took him out too. And I don't feel good about it. Like, I feel bad. Like, it is funny, but and the game wanted me to feel bad. And I wasn't legitimately like the desperate situation the game wanted me to be in. So I ended up like, killing these people and taking all their stuff from their house over the course of next several nights. And my lady who went and did it was so fucking bummed out.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of amazing the way they do that. Like, even though, like, I mean, the idea was I was supposed to feel bad, but my lady felt so bad. And, like, she was like, every time I like stole moonshine to trade, like I never had any of my guys drink, like she kept getting super drunk and being like really hungover. And it just took her like, 5 days to like get active again.
That's
and
amazing.
and be okay. Like, and she's just like, they didn't deserve it and stuff. And then like one of the guys was like, you stealing from them was fine, but killing them was too far. And the other guy was like, I'm sure she had good reason or had no choice. Like, it's just interesting the way they reacted to each other.
Yeah.
Like, it was really cool.
Yeah, it's not like a numerical stat that anyone has printed out, I don't think, but definitely each of the characters kind of handle horrific situations better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, some of them will just not be able to deal, and some of them just could not care any less about whatever you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder what the bottom, like, is there a floor to that?
Yeah.
Right? How bad does it possibly get? Like,
yeah. How degraded can you be before someone's gonna?
Yeah,
I think that the
before
characters can kill themselves. Yeah, they can kill themselves, and they can attack other characters
That's
as well.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's interesting to put up in contrast those two things, like the survival instincts and then like the humanity, and have the character, like, have your avatars care about humanity even if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you wanted to min-max this and just be like, okay, this is the most efficient way to get my food, because I'm sure there's a way to do it. Like, you always go to this place, then you go to this place, then you go to this place, kill these homeless people, blah, blah, blah. But even if you don't care about it, your avatars will. Like, the individual characters give a shit, and it will affect their ability. That's really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about that in Wasteland, where, like, I don't like that it has a forced morality, but that's because you're playing as characters you made. That, like, this is, I want them to have the morality that I put into them.
Yes.
But this is like, these are just random guys. They already have a backstory. They have their own personalities, and how they react to things is their own deal. And that's really neat how it's done in here.
And the interface supports that as well. Like, the way that, like, you're kind of looking at the whole thing like the side of a dollhouse. The entire time, like, supports the fact that you're looking in on characters that are not you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not often that games will try to, like, make you, or not, not put a big effort in making you identify with a character. I mean, that's why we have this bad glut of, like, silent protagonists in games, is so we can identify with them. Like, this game doesn't worry about that, and I think that's really kind of cool and brave.
Super agree.
Yeah.
Do either of you guys have any, like, cool stories that came out of it, or anything that you would consider to be a spoiler?
Man, that fucking sniper square. Did you ever...
I never went to the sniper square.
Yeah, it is exactly what it says on the box.
Yeah.
Like, they don't they totally didn't advertise that falsely. And there's even a little choice in that. Like, there's a guy who's pinned down behind a statue who's, like, begging for help. I didn't see, like, anything that would let me help him. But after I left and I got, like, severely wounded from it, and got back, like, my scavenger, Marco? There we go. Yeah, Marco. I wrote it down who each character was. Yeah, he wouldn't let himself live it down. Like, I let that guy die.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably had to take out the snipers in order to do anything. That probably was your only option of.
I have no idea how you do that, because as far as I could tell, at least the way the cover was working, they're like background elements.
Oh, interesting. I thought they were on the top floor of that thing, but like I just saw some scavenging underneath, and then, like, because I'm pretty sure you can see them. They're on the top floor of the tower that they're at, and if you get all the way up there, they kind of are patrolling one side of the tower or the other, and they switch, like, periodically.
Wow.
And so you can kind of get up into one side while they're on the other, and then kind of creep down into the lower chambers again and come back up on the other side when they switch.
Yeah.
But if you actually need to take them out, I have no idea. Like, I did not interact with them in any way, because I knew they had guns. But
yeah, that is such a high stakes little, like, challenge map.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Are you forced to go there, or did you just like the sound of that sniper square? Or did someone say, what do they got? I wish we were going to Candy Apple Square. What do they got there? Snipers. They're just not as mean.
Seems like a cool place to hang. I was curious, honestly, how they would implement that.
Yeah, because you can't save scum it.
Right.
Like, even though I think if you exit, you start at the beginning of the day no matter what.
Right.
So maybe you count a little bit, but, like, yeah, it doesn't allow you to, like, kind of, quick save before you do something risky, which is also good.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And just my little stories are variations on yours, Gary, except without caving in somebody's head, you monster. No, but stealing probably a little bit too much from, like, nice people. I was sneaking around the hospital where the volunteer, not quite volunteer, but semi-volunteer healthcare workers were patching people up and stealing medical supplies from them. I felt like a real shitheel for that. But hey, Bruno was hurt.
Yeah, the only one I had was, I forget which house it was, but I was in there, and there were obviously people awake and like patrolling, but I was able to just like stealth around them, and then accidentally double clicked at one point.
Oh no!
And then had to immediately press run to exit, and I managed to like get down all the stairs and back out again before anyone like actually appeared within my field of view. So like breathed a heavy sigh of relief, but that was as close as I actually got to death.
The day that I just finished, when I kind of, like I said, I just got to like day 11 or so, that before I decided to call it and start, be able to record, I was in this food situation, because like now that I'm like, okay, I need to make my own food, I should probably start over again. But I was starving as usual for my characters. And I went to these people who would trade with me, but they didn't have any food to trade. So like, and they were just hanging around their fridge. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to burn this bridge because I need this stuff. And I just started rooting through their fridge, and they started freaking out. And the way that everyone reacts is great.
Yeah.
Like, just like, hey, get down here, Carl, get down here. And people start yelling at me, and they're just like, they weren't willing to commit violence to me at first. They're just like, get out while you still can,
Mm-hmm.
and we're super mad. And then I went back like the next time, and like the door is locked, and like, that's no longer a trading route. Like, I permanently fucked that up.
Bridge. Yeah.
And now
nice.
if I want in there, I had to break in and cave in some skulls.
Yeah.
Which, my guy made my guy really mad.
I wonder if that would be different if you sent somebody different back. Like somebody else from the house.
Yeah, they wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would still be willing to trade. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just like defeated their trust in people overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. One other thing too, this is a minor gripe, and it could have been in the main episode. Is there something I'm missing about the placement of things in your base? Like, does that matter more than like it seems like it? Because it seemed really arbitrary and kind of annoying to me.
Yeah, I think it's just like to ease your, if you
like
like
the playhouse.
If you position things correctly, you can, or not like correctly, but position them well, then you have less movement around, so you don't have to move your screen around and stuff. I think it's mostly just for your own, however you feel like setting it up.
Okay.
But then again, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say there's a lot of spots where you can't place stuff, and that got really annoying for me when I was like trying to get all my like cooking and crafting and like food and water stuff all next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like everything needs like 3 feet of clearance around the sides.
Yeah.
Like, I can't have a chair and a stove in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never ran into temperature problems. Like, I know that's a thing. You listen to your radio and check to make sure the weather forecast, and if it gets too cold, people get sick. It would stand to reason that maybe the placement of where people sleep or hang out would affect how much the cold gets to them, but I can't speak to whether or not that actually is represented in kind of the mechanics.
Yeah, I know that you set up a heater, and I think that those, depending on how good your heater is, it heats up a greater area.
Mm-hmm.
It's also if you don't patch all the holes in your building, it gets colder faster too. So like the heat escapes more.
Yeah,
I thought it was. Go ahead. I was just gonna say I thought it was freezing because I didn't realize it was Celsius. So it's like, man, my guys are like, at least it's warm. I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys, it's 17 degrees.
The guys that made it are from Poland, so it's understandable.
Yeah.
Those patches are just wood sinks. Not just wood sinks, but holy hell! Like, I just threw so much wood at.
Yeah, it's a lot of wood.
Yeah, but yeah, good game.
Yeah,
good game.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's about it. So, thanks for joining us again, Kole.
Yeah, thanks, Kole.
Yeah.
Catch you guys later.
Yeah,
cool.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.